Welcome back to America's Retirement Headquarters, home of the Retirement Guys Formula and America's Medicare Associates with Scott Kerschner and Dave Ross. 419-794-3030 is the phone number. It's 419-794-3030 and the website arhq.com. Back in 1978, when the 401k was invented, more or less, and employers started adopting it, it was missing that monthly paycheck that the pension provided. It was supposed to replace that, put the onus on the employee itself. Dan Doonan is the executive director of the National Institute on Retirement Security, and he explains on CNBC that, quite frankly, it is up to us to make that money last.
It's not really the 401k itself that's creating the inefficiencies. It's really 4/5 of the inefficiencies come post-retirement. When you leave your 401k and you need to figure out how to spend down, you have to be a little more conservative investing and how long you expect to live.
As we said many times on the show, coming down the mountain is more difficult than going up. He's saying we need to have an income strategy for our money to make it last, yet he uses the term spend down when it comes to your money. Let's talk about that. What's the difference there?
Well, I have had a great deal of experience with this, and a lot of people, when they hear spend down, they really don't know exactly what spend down means, right? I know in my lane, Medicaid and Medicare, not so much Medicare, but if you're Medicaid eligible, a lot of people say, well, I don't know, the Social Security Administration Office told me I have to do a spend down. The spend down, the terminology basically means the same. What they have to do is they have to liquidate their assets. They have to spend down their money and liquidate their assets in order to qualify for Medicaid, right? And if they have too many resources available but still don't have enough to live, then that spend down is kind of like, for lack of a better term, maybe a deductible. They have to spend that first before Medicaid kicks in. But with 401ks, why don't you say what Dan was talking about when he was referring to spend downs in the 401k world?
You can look at spend downs in a couple different viewpoints. The first one is required minimum distributions. Now, the laws have changed where now you can be 73 years old before the government mandates that you start drawing down on your retirement savings. So the married couple who has no debt and Social Security covers all of their expenses, they can delay drawing down on their retirement savings as long as they can. And that's going to scale up to 75 here over a period of time. Then you've got the other people who they're collecting the same things. They might be collecting a pension, they might be collecting Social Security, and it doesn't quite cover all of the things that they need money for. So they start tapping into their retirement savings at maybe very early on in the retirement process. So where we come in at America's Retirement Headquarters is we need to craft a strategy that lets people know how we're going to take it, where we're going to take it, and for how long we're going to take it, and to build in pay raises, so to speak, increases in retirement income to offset inflation. And so the term spend down means different things to different people, but we deal with all of that kind of stuff here, and it's a very individualized discussion for each client.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I hear Nolan talk about a lot. He's talked about it a lot on the radio, there again, I stay in my lane, but I listen to you guys, I listen to your appointments, and I can hear and I learn a lot of information just by being in the same room with you guys. And one of the things that Nolan has created and trademarked is the independent income system. And that's exactly what you were talking about. With that independent income system, you diversify your portfolio in different income buckets. You may have an aggressive bucket. You may have a bucket that you're going to need set aside for health care. You're going to have a emergency fund, and then your income streams. So you're going to diversify and create the money sitting in buckets. And that's his independent income system. Dave, one of the things when I first started working back it's been 44 years ago now, you know, I signed up for a 401k, an investment account way back in the day, right? And there's one thing that I think has happened that it's kind of like that aha moment for me, or the light switch came on. And it's I heard Chaz talking about this on the radio in one of our shows a year ago or so, and it was the 59.5 in-service rollover. And that has direct correlation with the 401k plans, right?
Yes.
And as he explained that, we went to break, and I asked him, I said, what in the world? I didn't really even realize you could do that. So basically, you're taking an in-service rollover. You're taking the money, if you're 59.5 or older, and you are still working and you're contributing into the 401k, you can take that money out that's in there, invest it with you, continue working, continue taking advantage of the employer match, and still build that back up in the 401k, but take and get control of that money. So I guess when Dan was talking about the income stream and the strategies happens after retirement, when you take that money out, you can start that well before you retire and well before you need to put together some sort of a strategy. You could do that well before then, right? I mean, you do that quite frequently, don't you?
Do it more than half of the time. So people have to realize that when you're in a 401k plan, you are limited by the choices that plan has.
Exactly.
And if those choices don't fit the bill for what you're looking for, you'd be smart to consider a in-service rollout and place the money where it's going to do the most good for you. You have the universe of investment choices here.
Sure.
And you don't have that with the 401k. And I will also say this about 401ks over the last 10 to 15 years. The number of choices have become a lot more limited and a lot more, quote, age-based, or those target date funds. And it's hard for people to get their arms around what those funds actually invest in. So it's a worthwhile visit to see if that is something, doing an in-service rollover makes sense for you, and how we can help set it up so that it maximizes the benefit to each client.
Yeah, I had an appointment a week or so ago. I think it was 2 weeks ago, and I had a couple came in, and he was 63, and I mentioned that very thing because he said, well, he got some money in a 401k, and I said, his name was actually Dan. I said, Dan, have you actually thought about doing an in-service rollover? He said, well, what do you mean? I said, well, if you take that money, you can control it. And his wife, she says, I know nothing about this stuff. She's the type of person, kind of like I am, where the eyes glass over when you start talking on, investments. I have no idea what you're talking about, right? And she says, why would that benefit us? I says, well, that's because you can take control. You can determine exactly how aggressive, like you said, you have a cafeteria-style plan, and you're only allowed to invest in those. And not only that, there are a lot of advisors out there that sign up people up for a 401k. They meet with the employer. They come in. They do that initial contact, and you may not even see them again after that. So, if you're looking to do anything with 401ks, we really help people out a lot with the in-service rollovers, and actually during retirement, taking that money and rolling it into some good accounts with the investors here at America's retirement headquarters. And, that's what we specialize. It's in our name, retirement.
Any money saved towards your retirement is obviously a good thing. I was about to say that investing is easy. That is not true. That is not the case. Putting money away towards your retirement, if you've got the luxury of a 401k, that is, fairly simple to do if you've got the means to do it. But making it work as optimally for you as possible, that takes a little bit of fine tuning. And quite frankly, the 401ks may not necessarily be the way to do it. If there is a way to make your money work harder for you, especially as you get closer and closer to retirement, because the truly difficult thing is taking that money out and making it last for the course of your retirement. That's where having that plan comes into play. That's where the team at America's Retirement Headquarters comes into play. And you can get in touch with them by reaching out and giving a call, 419-794-3030, or visiting them on the website, always available day and night, arhq.com.